Thank you very much for this kind introduction. The issues about the elites and their emergence at the time of the pyramid, that is the Old Kingdom, are crucial because it is a period that corresponds to the construction of a territorial state, the control of these elites, especially the provincial elites, by the monarchy, ensured the stability of the state and the access to material, food, and human resources which were necessary for the achievement of the huge building project of the monarchy. So, who were the provincial elites? The analysis is deliberately limited to the ruling elites, that is, individuals who held high positions in the provinces, such as the overseers of one or more provinces in Upper Egypt, the overseers of a local temple, as well as leaders of commercial and military expeditions sent abroad. They had the economic capacities to have a decorated and inscribed tomb. About 500 inscribed and decorated tombs are known for the late Old Kingdom in the provinces, in particular in Upper Egypt. At that time, the capital was Memphis in Lower Egypt. Their social status is also visible in their funeral equipment. Here are some examples of precious objects which have been found in the tombs of the provincial elites. Objects made of copper, such as mirrors, vessels, also objects made in lapis-lazuli, cornelian, and gold for the jewels, calcite, such as vessels inscribed with the name of kings and which were donated to the local elites, as well as an ostrich egg mounted in a vase, and so on. These tombs were looted in ancient times and even shortly after burial, so the most valuable items have not been preserved. The subordinates of these elites, who were mentioned on the walls of their tombs, were linked to these elites by patronage ties, and their number correlated with the importance of the tomb's owner status. From the end of the 5th dynasty, that is from the middle of the 24th century BCE, and in particular during the 6th dynasty, there was a sudden increase in the number of inscribed tombs in the Egyptian provinces. It indicates that their owners had increasing economic capacities and the willingness to use the codes of the high culture, which had been previously restricted to the elites of the capital, Memphis. It does not mean that provincial elites were absent before this period. Only some of these elites have used some expression of the material culture, such as the third dynasty mud brick mastaba in El Kab, which is similar to those which have been built in the cemeteries of the capital, especially that of Ezira in Saqqara. But it cannot be compared with the spreading of inscribed monuments in the provinces from the end of the 5th dynasty. The causes and processes that have led to this rise of the provincial elites remain poorly understood. Yet, this is an important issue insofar as this corresponds to a process that has been identified as one of the potential causes of the end of the centralized state, which took place towards the middle of the 22nd century BCE and was followed by the development of regional microstates. The question is, where did the provincial elites come from? According to Naguib Kanawati, the emergence of these elites was a consequence of administrative reforms initiated by the monarchy, notably the appointment of permanent high officials from the capital to the provinces of Upper Egypt, especially from the end of the 5th dynasty. For Wolfram Grajewski, the ruling classes did not emerge from local families, but they were creatures of the king. That is a characteristic of the Asian mode of production, underlined by the Marxist historian Jeru Banerjee. Juan Carlos Moreno Garcia has noted the importance of the dissemination of Palatine culture in the provinces and the strengthening of links between the provinces and the capital, which might explain the willingness of the provincial elites to be buried in inscribed tombs. For Renate Müller-Wollermann, however, it is far from clear whether this process corresponded to an expansion of the bureaucracy, a process initiated from the top, or to pressure from the provincial population to take up high positions previously reserved to the elites of the capital, a development from the bottom. The bottom-up sociological approach, as conceived by Max Weber, is particularly defended by Marc Lehner, who focuses on the emergence of social complexity in ancient Egypt through the details of the local or microscopic scale. And in my last book, La Fabrique des élites dans l'Égypte pharaonique, published in 1924, I propose an explanation theory concerning the emergence of provincial elites in this period, based on an exhaustive cross-analysis of sources and with the help of contributions from the renewal of studies on elites in history and sociology. One starting point of my investigation was the significant archaeological discoveries made by Nadine Moller and Gregory Marwar in the Old Kingdom settlement of Tel Edfu, located in the south of Upper Egypt. The beginning of the 6th dynasty in the necropolis of Tel Edfu is characterized by the building of a decorated and inscribed mastaba, whose owner, the provincial governor Izi, had plentiful funeral equipment, including numerous copper objects. Moreover, 2 large mastabas without inscriptions, but in which the deceased were buried in limestone sarcophagi, and whose funeral equipment notably contained copper artifacts, were constructed earlier, 5th to early 6th dynasty, than the mastaba of Izi. The mastaba NOI1 is located at the northwest of the necropolis, close to the mastaba of Izi. The other is outside this necropolis, at the east and below the Mamizi built in the Ptolemaic period. Nadine Moller and Gregory Marwar have discovered 2 large buildings, Northern Building 1 and Southern Building 2, in the Zone 2 of the Old Kingdom settlement of Tel Edfu, along with a workshop area that held traces of copper metallurgy. The administrative character of this part of the settlement was confirmed in 2017, following the discovery of more than 220 official ceilings in one of the pits in the open courtyard of Southern Building 2. Ceilings were originally used to seal containers such as bags, boxes, or baskets. According to the excavators, the mention of a particular group of prospectors, the Sementiyu, and the Horus name of King Djedkare Izezi on the ceilings, the presence of copper metallurgy at Tel Edfu in the late 5th dynasty, and the possible contact with the populations of the Eastern Desert indicates that royal mining expeditions were organized from Tel Edfu into the Eastern Desert, and maybe beyond, to retrieve copper and other precious resources. These expeditions would have been sent during the second half of the 5th dynasty because the names of Kings Nusere and Menkaure are also mentioned on these ceilings. My working hypothesis, based on recent discoveries made at Teletfou and on the confrontation of this with the already known inscribed and archaeological sources, is that the visibility of the elites of Teletfou in the epigraphic record from the beginning of the 6th dynasty, and the importance taken by this province in the administration of the kingdom at that time, with the appointment under the reign of Teti of the first provincial governor or nomarch, attested in Upper Egypt, may have been the consequences of political decisions that led to the sending of mining expeditions to the Eastern Desert from the second part of the 6th dynasty. I inferred that the emergence of elites at Teletfou has resulted from a conjunction between a movement initiated from the top, this process in the beginning having been initiated indirectly by the monarchy, and an evolution of something that would have come from the bottom, the upper strata of local society having had both the economic capacity and the willingness to imitate the tombs of the elites of Memphis. The sending of prospectors, the introduction of specialized activities like copper processing with the presence of a specialist in metallurgy, as well as the flow of copper ores and very likely gold passing through Teletfou, all contributed to the accumulation of surplus and the emergence of a higher degree of social stratification. Expeditions resulted in a greater degrees of labor specialization, in part due to the necessity to feed, equip, and accommodate workers, one consequence of which was increasing social stratification at a local level. The copper ores brought back to Teletfou very likely served in the creation of objects intended for the monarchy and elites of the capital, Memphis, but part of the copper may also have been used as a means of transaction by local elites. We know that copper has been used by the elites of the province of Dendera to pay the craftsmen who worked on the tombs of Dendera, of the necropolis of Dendera. Royal policies in the second half of the 5th dynasty favored economic growth in the province of Teletfou and provided opportunities for a segment of the population to consolidate wealth and power from the end of this dynasty. I have identified two main phases constituting this historical process and corresponding respectively to the last part of the 5th dynasty and the beginning of the 6th dynasty. I have assigned the two mastaba without inscriptions to the first phase of the emergence of provincial elites. The owners of this mastaba have benefited from the royal expeditions and have obtained precious items, allowing them to distinguish themselves from the other social groups. Due to the proximity of the mastaba NO-I1, which is in the front of the eastern face of Isis mastaba, and to which it was joined after his death, the high social status of the owners and their links with Unas, the last king of the 5th dynasty, and Teti, the first king of the 6th dynasty, it seems to me very likely that the owner of mastaba NO-I1 was a close relative of Isis, or maybe his father. A second phase took place at the beginning of the 6th dynasty, and was characterized by the construction of inscribed mastaba, by the strengthening of the links between the monarchy and provincial elites, and by the increasing spread of Palatine values at Teletfou. The greater economic resources wielded by elites from Teletfou and their willingness to imitate the codes of Palatine culture would explain the construction of decorated and inscribed monuments at that time, which is to say about 100 years after the first expeditions sent by King Nusere. I have suggested that the establishment of a logistics base at Tel et Fou from the second half of the 5th dynasty can be correlated with the phasing out of the site of Bouhen in Lower Nubia at the south of Egypt in the same time, and the need for the monarchy to ensure a diverse supply of mining resources. Bouhen was phased out as a processing center for copper and gold ores after the reign of Nusere and before the beginning of the 6th dynasty. At Tel et Fou, the process was indirectly caused by the monarchy sending out mining expeditions. On the contrary, in the north of Upper Egypt, in the 20th province, the process began with the appointment of Memphite officials who were buried in a new necropolis, Deshacha, that they reserved for themselves and their subordinates. Different elements point to a Memphite origin of the rulers of the 20th province. Behind these appointments was the royal motivation to benefit from the agricultural potential of this province. In Middle Egypt, royal expeditions sent in the calcite quarries of the eastern desert have also contributed to the accumulation of surplus and the emergence of a higher degree of social stratification. In these provinces, it remains uncertain if the elites come from the provinces or Memphis in the current state of research. The hypothesis of a single sudden process that would have involved an identical cause, such as the sending of members of the elite from the capital to the provinces, and would have affected all the provinces at the same time, must be rejected in favor of a more complex and nuanced theory that takes into account a longer temporality. The model of a process initiated from above, that is by the monarchy, a top-down model, or conversely of a development that took place from below, the bottom-up model, does not apply in its entirety to all the provinces. Instead, it should be seen as a dynamic and interactive process involving conditions with broader contextual elements, also internal factors and external factors, such as the increase in medium and long-distance trade and the circulation of precious resources, as well as triggers such as the royal decision to send mining expeditions via the locality of Tel et Fou, and also mutual influences between the capital and the province. All of this led to the emergence and enrichment of provincial elite groups and their willingness to adopt the elite Memphite culture. The process involved multiple causes that interacted with each other. Moreover, the causes of this process, as well as its chronology, may have differed from one province to another. Elites with inscribed monuments are attested before the middle of the 21st century, even if only sporadically. Therefore, it seems to me that the first generation of elites with monuments inscribed in the provinces should not be considered in their entirety as strictly originated from the capital. Similarly, it would be equally wrong to assert that these early dignitaries buried in provincial inscribed tombs have emerged at the local level solely of their own willingness by appropriating the diverse functions of the central administration, such as vizier and overseer of granaries or treasure, previously held by the elites of the capital. On the contrary, my research has confirmed in some cases the Memphite origin of elite groups, and conversely, in other cases, their provincial origin. This interpretation of the process makes it possible to highlight the role of the different agents in the capital and in the provinces who acted by adjusting their behavior. For example, at Teletfou, the enrichment of the elites led by the monarchy to approve the provincial administration by introducing for the first time the position of provincial governor, as well as to better integrate the local elites by favoring the education of the children of these elites in the capital with those of the Menfit elites, that is, the future high officials. The reciprocal influences between the capital and the provinces led to internal changes and a uniformity of elite culture throughout Egypt from this period onwards. The values of the Memphite elites were disseminated at Teletfou due to the royal expeditions, made up partly of officials and specialized workers who were ordinarily resident at the capital, as well as the close links established between the royal families and the elites of this province from the end of the 5th dynasty. Moreover, the marriage of the nomarch Izi with a daughter of the king Teti has increased the spreading of the high culture at the beginning of the 6th dynasty, with the arrival of a woman of the royal family at Teletfou, presumably along with her own servants and goods coming from the royal workshops. It has to be noted that similar processes can be observed in the ancient Near East at around the same time as these provincial elites in Egypt. Elites gained power in southern Mesopotamia at the beginning of the dynastic period, particularly between 2600 and 2350 BCE. The Assyriologist Mark van de Meerup has established a causal link between increased international trade and the growth of a native elite in southern Mesopotamia. These elites having needed to acquire precious products in order to distinguish themselves from other strata of society. So I thank you very much for your attention.